Hello everyone. In this video, we're going to work through an example speaking part 2 question and practice ways you can improve your grade in the test. Let's start with today's question then. Describe a children's story that you know well. You should say when you first heard or read it, what you particularly liked about it, why you think it became popular, and give a brief description of the story. So I could answer this whole question by saying the following. A children's story that I know really well is The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. I first read this book as a child and I liked the fantastical nature of the story. I think it became popular because many kids dream of going on magical adventures like the children in the book do. This does cover the key points, but it only takes about 20 seconds to say out loud, and is therefore too short to gain a high score in the test. So, how could I expand my answer? Let's have a look. Regarding the when you first heard or read it prompt, I said, a children's story that I know really well is The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. I first read this book as a child. Now, given that childhood covers quite a period of time, I could definitely expand this part, and I could also give some extra detail about where I got the book from or whether I saw a movie version. So, let's have another go. A children's story that I know really well is The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. I first read this book when I was at primary school, so I guess I was about 8 or 9 years old. If I remember correctly, someone bought it for me as a Christmas gift. This book was part of a series set in the magical land of Narnia, and I read all of the books as a child and again as an adult. I also watched the TV show that was made based on these books and later the movie version. This is a much more detailed response and includes more specific information. Now, in my longer answer, I'm going to move to the description part next because that feels more natural to me. So, regarding the give a brief description of the story prompt, my short answer didn't say much, just that the characters go on magical adventures. So I definitely need to say more. Let's have another try. In this book, 4 children, siblings of various ages, travel to a magical land which can be entered through a wardrobe in the old house where they are staying. This magical land is called Narnia, and the land is being held in permanent winter by an evil witch. The children help to defeat this witch and end the permanent winter that has plagued the land for so long. I think you should now have a much clearer idea what this story is about, and I have demonstrated a much higher control of the language, in particular, more varied verb phrases. You may notice that in this part the verbs are in the present, which is one of the ways we can talk about a book as if it's happening right now. Moving on to the what you particularly liked about it aspect, my initial answer was, I liked the fantastical nature of the story, which is a start, but definitely needs to be expanded. So, my revised answer might be, I liked the fantastical nature of the story, in particular the strange places and creatures that the children encounter on their adventures. As a child, I particularly enjoyed how scary the character of the White Witch was, and I felt really invested in the children's attempts to defeat the witch. This is much more detailed, showcases longer sentence structures, and some interesting verbs. Let's finish with the point about why you think it became popular. I initially said, I think it became popular because many kids dream of going on magical adventures like the children in the book do. Which is fine, but very short. It might be difficult to think of how to expand this part, but my plan is to refer to other children's books, like this. I think it became popular because many kids dream of going on magical adventures like the children in the book do. There's something about the idea of going to a place without adults that is really appealing to kids, especially if the kids get to do grown-up things like saving the day. Lots of the books that my friends and I read as kids involved a small group of children going off having adventures and solving mysteries, such as the famous 5 books. I loved getting lost in these stories, and I think that's why kids love these books. Again, a much more complete response to the prompt and demonstrates much more complex sentence structures, which will help me to achieve a higher score in the test. So, I timed myself reading the expanded version of the answer, and it took 1 minute 55 seconds, which is just within the 2 minutes allowed in the test. And, as we saw, it's a much more interesting and complete answer, which demonstrates a wider range of grammar and vocabulary. Before we finish, just a little tip about the use of tenses when talking about a story, such as in a book or a movie. As I demonstrated earlier, it's possible to use present tenses to give details about a story. The characters go there and do this thing. Equally though, I could have used past. The characters went there and did this thing. Both options are grammatically possible, but I chose to use present tenses because it feels like it brings the action of the story closer to now. So, now it's your turn. Have a go at writing your own answer to this example question, then read it out loud and time yourself. See if you can get it as close to 2 minutes as possible, then read it out a few more times. I hope you found that useful, and don't forget to check back for new episodes soon. Thanks for watching, and have a lovely day.